Genesis 15. After Abram's battle and rescue of Lot, God spoke to him in a vision, reassuring him, "Don't be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward." But Abram questioned God, saying, "Lord, what can you give me? I'm still childless, and my servant Eliezer of Damascus will inherit everything." Abram added, "You haven't given me any children, so a servant in my house will be my heir." God responded, "No, he won't be your heir. You will have a son of your own flesh and blood." He led Abram outside and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars, if you can. That's how numerous your descendants will be." Abram believed the Lord, and that faith was credited to him as righteousness. God continued, "I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to possess." Abram asked, "Lord, how can I know I will truly possess it?" In response, God told him to bring a heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a young pigeon. Abram brought the animals, cut them in half, and laid the halves opposite each other, except for the birds, which he didn't divide. As birds of prey came down on the carcasses, Abram drove them away. As the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick and frightening darkness enveloped him. Then God said, "Know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a land not their own. They will be enslaved and mistreated for 400 years. But I will judge that nation, and your descendants will come out with great possessions. You, however, will die in peace at a good old age. Your descendants will return here in the 4th generation, because the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure." When the sun had set and darkness fell completely, a smoking firepot and a blazing torch passed between the divided pieces. That day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, "To your descendants I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephates, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites." Genesis 16. Sarai, Abram's wife, still had no children. She had an Egyptian servant named Hagar, and one day Sarai said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Sleep with my servant. Maybe I can build a family through her." Abram agreed to her plan. So, after 10 years of living in Canaan, Sarai gave Hagar to Abram as a wife. Abram slept with Hagar, and she became pregnant. But once she realized she was expecting, Hagar began to look down on Sarai. Frustrated, Sarai blamed Abram. "You're responsible for this. I gave my servant to you, and now that she's pregnant, she despises me. May the Lord judge between us." Abram replied, "She's your servant. Do with her as you see fit." Then Sarai treated Hagar so harshly that Hagar ran away. While fleeing, Hagar was found by the angel of the Lord near a spring in the desert, on the road to Shur. The angel said, "Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going?" She answered, "I'm running away from Sarai." The angel told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her." Then he added, "I will greatly multiply your descendants, too many to count." He also told her, "You are pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be like a wild donkey of a man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. He will live in conflict with all his brothers." Overwhelmed, Hagar gave a name to the Lord who had spoken to her. "You are the God who sees me." She said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." That's why the well there was called Bir Lahai Roi. It remains between Kadesh and Bered. Hagar returned and gave birth to a son. Abram named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Ishmael was born. Genesis 17. When Abram was 99 years old, The Lord appeared to him and said, I am God Almighty. Walk faithfully with me and live blamelessly. I will confirm my covenant with you and greatly increase your descendants. Abram fell on his face in reverence. Then God said, This is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. Your name will no longer be Abram. Instead, it will be Abraham, because I have made you a father of many nations. I will bless you abundantly, and make nations come from you. Kings will rise from your lineage. My covenant with you will be everlasting, extended to your descendants for generations. I will be your God and theirs. I'm giving you and your descendants the entire land of Canaan as an everlasting possession, even though you now live there as a foreigner. And I will be their God. Then God continued, You must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you. This is how it will be marked. Every male among you must be circumcised. It will be the sign of our covenant. From now on, every male child, born or bought, must be circumcised at 8 days old. This includes your servants, whether born into your household or purchased. They must also be circumcised. This is to be a lasting covenant in your flesh. Any uncircumcised male who refuses will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. God also spoke about Sarai. You must no longer call your wife Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her and give you a son through her. She will become the mother of nations, and kings will come from her. Abraham again fell face down. This time, he laughed in disbelief. He said to himself, Can a child be born to a 100-year-old man? Can Sarah have a baby at 90? Then he said to God, What about Ishmael? Let him live under your blessing. But God replied, Yes, I will bless Ishmael. He will have many descendants and become the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. But my covenant will be with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you by this time next year. When God finished speaking, he left Abraham. That very same day, Abraham took his son Ishmael and every male in his household, whether born there or bought, and circumcised them, just as God had commanded. Abraham was 99 years old at the time, and Ishmael was 13. They were both circumcised on that day, along with every other male in Abraham's household. Genesis 18. One hot afternoon, as Abraham was resting at the entrance of his tent near the great trees of Mamre, he looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. As soon as he saw them, he hurried to greet them and bowed low in respect. Please, Abraham said, if I've found favor in your eyes, don't pass me by. Let me bring some water so you can wash your feet and rest under this tree. I'll get you something to eat to refresh you before you continue your journey. They agreed. Very well. Do as you say. Abraham rushed into the tent and told Sarah, Quick, use our best flour and bake some bread. Then he ran to choose a tender calf, gave it to a servant to prepare, and gathered curds and milk. He served all this to the men and stood nearby as they ate under the tree. Then the visitors asked, Where is your wife Sarah? She's in the tent, Abraham replied. One of them said, I'll return to you around this time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was eavesdropping from inside the tent. She laughed quietly to herself, thinking, After all these years and now that I'm worn out, and Abraham too, will I really have this joy? Then the Lord spoke to Abraham. Why did Sarah laugh and question whether she could have a child at her age? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I'll return to you next year, and Sarah will have a son. Afraid, Sarah denied laughing. But the Lord said, Yes, you did laugh. When the visitors got up to leave, they looked toward Sodom. Abraham walked with them to see them off. Then the Lord said to himself, Should I hide what I'm about to do from Abraham? He will surely become a powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. I have chosen him to instruct his children and household to follow my ways and do what is right and just. So I will fulfill all I have promised him." Then the Lord told Abraham, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is immense, and their sin is very serious. I'm going to investigate, to see if things are really as bad as they seem." The two other men continued toward Sodom, but Abraham remained and spoke with the Lord. "Will you really wipe out the righteous along with the wicked?" Abraham asked. "What if there are 50 righteous people in Sodom? Surely you won't destroy the place and treat the righteous the same as the wicked. Won't the judge of all the earth do what is right?" The Lord answered, "If I find 50 righteous people in Sodom, I'll spare the whole city for their sake." Abraham continued humbly, "What if there are only 45? "I won't destroy it if I find 45, the Lord said. Abraham pressed further, "What about 40? For 40, I will not do it." Then 30, then 20. Finally, Abraham said, "Let me ask just once more. What if only 10 righteous people are found?" The Lord replied, "Even for 10, I will not destroy the city." When their conversation ended, the Lord left, and Abraham returned home. Genesis 19. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. As evening fell, 2 angels arrived at Sodom, where Lot was sitting at the city gate. When he saw them, he got up quickly, bowed low, and invited them to stay at his home. "Please, come to my house, wash your feet, spend the night, and leave early in the morning." They replied, "No, we'll spend the night in the city square." But Lot insisted strongly, so they agreed and went with him. He prepared a meal, including unleavened bread, and they ate. Before they went to bed, the men of the city, young and old, surrounded the house and shouted, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out so we can have sex with them." Lot stepped outside, shut the door behind him, and pleaded with the crowd, "Don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 virgin daughters. Let me bring them out to you instead. Do whatever you like with them, but don't harm these men. They're under my protection." The crowd became furious. "Get out of the way! This foreigner wants to act like a judge. We'll treat you worse than them." They pressed in to break the door down. Then the angels pulled Lot back inside and slammed the door shut. They struck the men outside with blindness, so they groped around and couldn't find the door. The angels said to Lot, "Do you have anyone else here? Sons-in-law, sons, daughters, anyone? Get them out now. We're going to destroy this city. The outcry to the Lord is overwhelming." Lot rushed to his sons-in-law and warned them, "Hurry! The Lord is about to destroy the city." But they thought he was joking. At dawn, the angels urged Lot, "Hurry! Take your wife and daughters, or you'll be swept away." When he hesitated, they took the hands of Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters, and led them out safely. Because the Lord was merciful, once outside, one of the angels commanded, "Run for your lives! Don't look back! Don't stop in the plain! Flee to the mountains, or you'll be destroyed." Lot begged, "Please no! I can't make it to the mountains. I'll die. There's a small town nearby. Let me escape there. Isn't it small? Let me go there and live." The angel agreed. "Fine, I won't destroy that town, but hurry, I can't do anything until you arrive." The town was called Zoar. By sunrise, Lot reached Zoar. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur from heaven onto Sodom and Gomorrah. The cities, the entire plain, all the people, and even the vegetation were destroyed. But Lot's wife looked back, and she turned into a pillar of salt. Early that morning, Abraham returned to the place where he had spoken with the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and saw smoke rising from the land like a furnace. God remembered Abraham and rescued Lot before the cities were destroyed. Lot and his daughters. Later, Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar and lived in the mountains because Lot was afraid to stay in town. they lived in a cave. One day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there are no men here to marry us. Let's get him drunk and sleep with him so we can preserve our family line." That night, they gave Lot wine, and the older daughter went in and slept with him. Lot was so drunk he didn't know what happened. The next night, they repeated the plan. The younger daughter slept with him as well, and again, Lot was unaware. Both daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son named Moab, ancestor of the Moabites. The younger daughter's son was Ben-Ami, ancestor of the Ammonites.